Mark, you talk about two components that are needed for sustainable youth ministry, alchemy and then architecture. So let's start with alchemy. Is this a return to high school science, or what are we talking about here?
Well, I'm trying to draw a distinction between sort of the soft culture, climate, the feel of a room, the feel of a group, which is often primary before the program, right? So you can have really lousy questions in a small group discussion, but the right culture, climate, alchemy, and it's magic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you can have the most beautiful curriculum in the world with all these wonderful crowd breakers and videos and all that stuff.
It falls flat, right?
Yeah. You've got experience.
Yeah. It's just
right?
a little here and there, right? Yeah.
We often feel like we are victims of the feel of the group. Like this is a culture I inherited and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Right? And so part of what we've when we sort of observed and recognized there is this undefinable soft feel. I mean, that's the ethos, culture. There's this undefinable quality of vitality in a youth ministry that made it doesn't make the programming irrelevant, but it makes it certainly secondary. So if we get this in place, we now have a sort of a platform to do the architecture work. If we haven't tended to this work, then all of this is just more work. Yeah. It's just another big list of things to do. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so we played with, okay, how do we actually, I'm mixing my metaphors, how do we actually architect alchemy?
Okay, yeah.
And the metaphor I like to use is the greenhouse.
Okay.
So in a greenhouse, you build a thing that changes the culture inside. Yeah. It changes the temperature. It makes living things grow, living things healthy. So we have the ability to do that, but we often don't understand we have that power, and so we often subvert our own power there because we don't understand it. So there's this kind of 4-stage culture change that I talk about in Sustainable. Yeah. That I'll just romp through real quick, and then we can talk about it. It's generally assumed that culture change takes about 3 years. Okay. To think that you can go from here to here. Now, growth, or what we might call inflation, of a ministry can take place much faster. Yeah. But if you want to shift a culture and create a different sort of culture of vibrancy, that is going to take some time. So we've got these 4 stages that, sort of interplay with each other, but more or less sequential. The first one is we just trust the process. We relax. We're back to non-anxious presence. Right. We're back to family systems theory. Yeah. We don't go through this thing with a reactivity and a blaming and a negativity about the previous youth director. You wouldn't believe they only, and or about the church, or about the music program, or about if the children's ministry would give us more than 2 kids every year, we'd have a great, right? All of those things. Sure. Our town is all depressed and the community's changing. So it's just, you just say, I can name a culture change that I want to see, and I think we can get there, right? I mean, I'm just betting. Yeah. It's a 3-year bet. Yeah. So, but the first one is you just trust the process. I sometimes use the analogy of the bamboo farmer. If you get a new bamboo plant, it takes 3 years before the bamboo does anything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so for those 3 years, you see nothing. You see no fruit. There's nothing going on. And if you're not an experienced bamboo farmer, then you're just going to be mad and grumpy and negative and complaining. Yep. And a lot of youth directors in their first 3 years are unhappy about what's actually happening beneath the surface. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's the first one. The second one is we got to deliver some kind of results in the direction that we're trying to move toward. So, let's just say one of the chronic problems churches have is we lose our older high school kids, all right? So the culture shift we're looking for is we want to move from a place where kids disappear at age 16 or driver's license, and we want to move from there to our youth group actually gets larger once they get their driver's license. The older kids take on more leadership, blah, blah, blah. They are the core of our ministry.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
That's a huge shift.
Yep.
Right? So the first step is that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
You just put it out there.
Yeah.
Right? And trust the process and relax. We're going to get there. Now, all the while, people are going to say, we're losing all our older high school kids.
Right.
And they're worried and hand-wringing, and you're just trusting the process, right?
I know. Yes. Right.
Then we deliver some kind of results. So let's just say you got one, kid over 16 showing up. Well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to double that and get to 2 in the first year.
Okay.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Just something. Yeah. We had this event for this is hypothetical. So, we had this event just for our 11th, 12th graders. And once a month, we just got together and ate pizza and talked about college applications. And that's what we've done this year. But there were 14 of those kids that showed up to one of those pizza dinners.
Yeah.
Right. So
celebrate the success.
Some little success, right? In that each year you got to deliver some results. It can't just be, just trust me, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
We got to give a visible win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we go to stories and metaphors. Culture is so tightly tied to the stories we tell, the narratives we have, right?
Yeah.
We get to be the bard. We get to sing the songs of the culture.
Yeah.
And we can select the stories we want to tell. And so we don't have to tell about the 23 kids who haven't done anything.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the 4 kids who have gone from 0 to 60 in this past year.
Yep.
And I want to tell you about, you all may not know this, but every Sunday morning, John and Jenny are down there in that elementary school, Sunday school. And let me tell you what some of the kids have said about them. And you read the right? Right? But we can pick the stories that will point into the future, right? Yeah. Set the stage.
Yeah.
And then the last one is rituals and traditions. So you might say at the beginning of every year in the whole church worship service, we bring all the rising 12th graders and say, at this point, you are pivoting from being a recipient of the ministry of this church to being a partner in ministry at this church. Yeah. You are agents of ministry. You are not the mission field. Yep. You are the missionary, right? Mm-hmm. And then, to ritualize that in some way, I've seen churches that would bring a group around those seniors that would include all the generations. So you have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 70-year-old. Yeah. And they all, do a laying on of hands with each one of them praying a 1 or 2 sentence prayer over these kids, right? Sure. And there are things that you can do in ritual, things you can say in ritual that you can't do in a normal conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So that process we have seen, it just gives some traction, and you say we can go from here to here. We don't have to do it in 10 days or 30 days or even a year. Right. But working that process, if you can name the one culture change you want to see, it's pretty likely you're going to get there in 3 years.
So interesting. Yeah.
That's alchemy.
Yeah.